Hello guys and welcome back to CS with Mr. G. In this video I'm going to break down the 15-mark question which you will find at the end of paper 2 for 0478 iGCSE Computer Science, which involves algorithm design and problem solving. Now this question in particular will feature at the end of your paper 2 exam. 15 marks will be available and you will have to use all of your programming knowledge and problem solving ability that you've learned so far, and also applying your decomposition skills and abstraction skills which units 7 and 8 try to develop so that you can answer these questions. So if you've been with me so far guys and you followed units 7 and 8, hopefully you will have built a solid foundation and acquired the skills necessary in order to attack these 15-mark questions. And like I said, I will show you exactly how I approach these questions, the hints and tips that I give to my students to prepare them for the exam, and hopefully making it clear as to how you can gain at least some marks in this question without getting the full 15. So to do so, I've got a typical question here. This was from the May 2025 exam, but the more past papers that you look at, you will find that there is a pattern with these questions, and typically the most challenging things that you will need to do is to read or write data to an array. Sometimes you have to read or write data to an external text file, but all of the other skills that are required are some of the basic programming skills that we've gone through in units 7 and 8 by simply inputting data, using if statements, using a loop, basically all those skills from units 7 and 8 that I keep mentioning. But hopefully this will make perfect sense and I can gain you at least some marks when it comes to this 15-mark question. So first and foremost, you are going to be required to read the question and gain a solid understanding of exactly what is expected for that given scenario. So this is one of the hints that I give to my students, is really get into the scenario and understand what's being expected of you. So whether it's a school or a hospital, a sports team, whatever the scenario is, try and put yourself in that position and imagine that you either work for this company or that you're developing a program for this company, and treat it like a real system as if you were going to make it in real life. Once you've done that, you can jump into the question and try and pick out some of the key things and use that word abstraction to focus on the main points, where you will then be able to decompose the question and hopefully solve the problem. So one of the first things I ask my students to do after they've got into this mindset is to pick out some of the data structures and look for some of the things that are going to be stored in this program in terms of variables and arrays. In this case, we can see a one-dimensional array called competitor name contains the name of 25 competitors. This is in a tournament that includes 5 events. So already we know that there's a competition and we are storing data about competitors within these competitions. The 1D array has been given a name, which is highlighted there as competitor name. Next we have another array, but this time it's a 2-dimensional array, and this array is called competitor score. This contains the points scored by each competitor in the 5 events that they participate in. The first dimension of this array contains the index of the competitor from the competitor name, and the second dimension contains their scores. So 2D arrays are one of the trickiest parts of the whole syllabus, but if we just visualize this for a second and think about what's being stored, by using the word dimension, this is essentially your row or your column in a table. In a second, when I go through the final array, you will see exactly how this array would look on paper, which will give you a better understanding of the data being stored inside without getting confused by all of these words. But once we've got this understanding, I will show you the data structures and hopefully this will make it a bit more sense. Each competitor receives a score out of 100 for each event. These scores are manually entered into competitor score. This manual data entry will put data into this 2D array that's been mentioned for each of the competitors. Medals are awarded to the competitor or competitors who have the highest points scored in each of the 5 events and the highest total points scored for all 5 events. So now what you need to do is kind of visualize how you're going to approach this when we solve this problem. How are we going to keep a track of the highest points scored in each of the 5 events? So here's where you need to trace back to units 7 and 8 and think, I know the algorithm to store the highest value. I just need to implement this algorithm into this bigger question. The highest total points scored for all 5 events. Again, you need to think the highest total points, I need to keep a sum of the 5 events that have taken place. So again, keeping a sum is a standard algorithm covered in unit 7 and is fairly simple to do. Moving on, we have another 1D array called points, and this stores the total number of points scored for each competitor. So far we have 3 arrays. We have 2 1D arrays and a 2-dimensional array. We know that we're going to need to create a total for the total points scored and also a maximum value for the highest points scored. So we can already think of the variables that will be stored here as well as the arrays being stored, which we've been told. And then finally we have the program requirements. We need to take an input, which is a valid score between 0 and 100 for each competitor in each of the 5 events. So in order to take a number between 0 and 100, we clearly have to validate the input, which again is really simple. We've done this in unit 7. It's going to be a simple range check between 0 and 100. It calculates the highest points scored for each event. So again, we need to keep a total, and then it outputs the names of the competitors who receive a medal for the highest points scored. It will also calculate the highest total points scored for the 5 events, and then gives us the names of the competitors with the highest total points scored for those 5 events. These requirements here will require some higher problem solving skills, but let's just take our time, let's break it down and go one step at a time. So like I mentioned, let's pick out the data structures that exist. We have the competitor name array, the competitor score array, and the points array. We've already mentioned the 1D array, 2D array, and the 1D array. The competitor name is going to be 25 indexes for each competitor. The score is a 25 by 5 grid of the competitor name and their scores. Again, I will show you the table for this to make it easier to understand in a second. And then the points array has 5 indexes and has the total points across all 5 events. So again, this will have 25 indexes for each competitor, but will be their total points. And the index will match for the competitor name array, meaning whoever's in index 1 here, their name will be stored, and then index 1 in this one would have that person's points. What it does, we've already explained, we input the scores for all 25 competitors and 5 events. So we should start to think, how are we going to do that? So by now you should realize that you're not going to write 25 lines of code for the 25 inputs. We can simply use a loop for those 25 competitors and then use another loop for the 5 events that they do. So we're going to have to use a nested loop in this case, which is a loop inside a loop, and I will show you shortly exactly how we're going to create that. Finding the highest score, again, we're going to need a loop. Output the medal winners for each event, so that will require the total variable, as well as finding the highest total points across all events, and then finally outputting the competitors with the highest total. That will be finding the highest number. So now that we've got a really good understanding of the scenario, guys, what I want to show you is how you can gain marks without solving the whole problem. If you were to simply get the inputs for the data and validate these inputs, you are looking at around 3 or 4 marks for simply validating the input of a number for those 25 competitors that we've spoken about. Storing scores in the array, which will involve the indexing, you're looking at around 1 to 2 marks. Nesting your loops and calculating the highest value, you're looking at around 2 to 3 marks. Another if statement for the medal winners, 1 to 2 marks. Calculating the highest total, 1 to 2 marks. Outputting the medal winners at the end, 1 mark. And then commenting your code, also 1 mark, as long as you do it properly. This is something I'll speak about at the end. Make sure you stick around for that so you're not losing out on this mark. But like I've mentioned, the data structure visualized, this will give you a better understanding of how the data is going to be stored. So the competitor name, as we've mentioned, has 25 elements inside for each competitor. Index 1 in our case stores Ali, number 2 scores Beth, 3 stores Carl, and this would carry on until a 25th value. But you can see here that these indexes match up to the points here, and the points array, index 1 would contain the points of Ali, index 2 contains the points of Beth, and so on and so forth. So the term indexing, very important. That refers to whose data is being stored in which position, but that is something that you can definitely understand, as I do understand the 2D array can be a little bit trickier. But as we can see in the 2D array, the dimensions simply refer to the rows and the columns. The first dimension for each row is the competitor. So number 1, this refers to Ali, and these are Ali's scores in the 5 events. These scores are then totaled and stored in this array, but just visualizing of how this data is being stored should help you realize what's going on. This repeats for each competitor, 2, 3, and so on and so forth. The events, and remember, these values are going to be manually inputted when we use that nested for loop like we've mentioned. The next thing we want to do is start to create some values that are going to be stored. So we've already mentioned the variables here that we're going to contain. We've got the winner and the max value. We're going to set them to 0 at the very beginning, and later on in the program, once we find out what these values will contain, we can store them in these variables. We also set the values in our points array to 0. So that's this array here at the bottom. We're going to initialize it so that all indexes contain 0, meaning as we go through the program and we calculate the total points for each competitor, we can store them in this array. But as you can see, we've used a for loop and we go from 1 to 25. So we loop 25 times. Count just refers to the index in the array. So the first time it runs, it's going to do it in position 1, and it will stop when it gets to position 25. The validation for the inputs, nice and easy. All validation will use either a repeat until loop or a while loop. I prefer a repeat until loop because, as you can see, we're going to repeat this code until our variable is between 0 and 100. So this is the range check we mentioned at the beginning. But the first line in the code, we simply tell the user to enter the score for the name of the competitor in position X. So this will be part of a bigger loop, and X will be represented by 1 on the first go. So in our case, I think this was Ali. So we are going to enter the score for Ali in the event and whatever event we're putting the score in for. We use the input command to type in the score, and unless that score is between 0 and 100, this will keep looping around to make sure that it's a valid number. If not, it will just keep looping until that number is valid, and then we can store the value. So score is the name of the variable. We have it here, and once it's input and it's valid, we are going to store it in the competitor score array in position X, which was 1 on the first loop, which was Ali, and then event, this is going to represent 1 to 5. So the first event, the score is entered, and this will change to 2, 3, 4, then 5 until Ali's scores have been entered, and then we will loop to change this one to 2 and enter the next person. So I will show you the loop for this in a little while, but that's how it's going to work. So for each competitor, we store the score for the event, and we also keep a tally by adding it to the current score and keeping a total in this position. That's why it's very important at the beginning that we set points to 0 for all the competitors, because 0 plus the inputted score, let's just say it's 75, would equal 75, and then 75 is stored in that position. So this will make more sense when I show you it in the bigger loop, but this is something we need to do in order to store the total points for each competitor. So this is the finished loop, and you can see the nested for loop that we've mentioned. We've got the loop inside the loop. I've called the first loop event to make it a bit easier to understand, and then X simply represents each competitor. So this loop will run 25 times for each person, and then we'll loop round 5 times for the event. The code inside this loop is what I've just showed you, but seeing it part of the nested loop, hopefully now this makes sense as to what we've been doing. We are entering a score between 0 and 100 for that competitor. Remember, X here will be represented as 1 on the first loop, which is the first competitor, and we type in their score. We then store that score in the competitor score event using the 2D array. So on the first loop, X will be 1 and event will be 1. And again, we keep the points scored. So let's say they scored 75, and that will be stored in position 1 of the points array. Next, X. So X then loops. X then changes to 2 here, which is the next competitor. And then we store their score. So X is 2 here, and we're going to store this score, but for the same event on the next competitor. So that's going to loop 25 times. So let me just show you in the data structure again. This was the 75 that I mentioned before in the first loop. Next one is here. Next one is here. And it will keep looping until 25. Then it will jump over to this event where we then enter Ali's again, and then Beth's, and then Carl's, and then so on and so forth. But that's how this nested loop is working. And again, guys, this is as tricky as it gets. If you can understand that, you will be aiming for some of the higher marks in this question. Then what we can do, using the exact same method of a nested loop, we can find the highest score by checking if the score for each competitor in each event is bigger than the current stored highest. So remember, at the beginning, highest was set to 0 for all positions in this array. So no matter what, the first competitor in the first event will be stored as whatever number's being typed in here is going to be more than 0. Then the same thing applies. We are going to loop through 1 to 25, checking each competitor in event 1, checking if 78 is bigger than 90, if 90 is bigger than this number, and so on and so forth. And this will store the biggest number for this whole column and store it in the highest array for event 1, again looping 25 times, before it jumps onto the next event where this one will become 2, and it will check in this column instead. This will loop until event 5, which is this outer loop here, but that's exactly how we find the highest score in the 2D array using this nested loop. And then as you've guessed it, nested loop again, and what we're going to do is we're going to take the highest score from the highest score array and check if it equals the highest value for that specific event, so we can use that index to see who was the highest scorer. Remember, the X, this represents the competitors. So if the competitor X here equals the highest, so let's say that's number 1, we know that number 1 position in the competitor name array, which I think was Ali, was the highest value, and therefore they got the medal for that event. So X represents the competitors, as we keep saying, and we can use that to get their name from the array in this bit here. To find the highest total, we simply need a count controlled loop that will loop 25 times. We can see here 1 to 25 again. We don't need to nest this time. We are just finding the maximum points. So remember, X being 1 on the first run, that will check Ali's points, compare it to max, which we set to 0 at the beginning. That way we know somebody's going to have the maximum points. Then this will loop through the points array. So position 1 there, 372. We compare 372 to 385, compare that with the next number, stop at Zara's on 25, and the max variable will show who scored the highest points in total. We can then use the same method previously, using X to check 1 to 25, checking if the points array in position X equal the max value. So let's say the maximum value is 385. We are looping through this array, looking for where 385 is stored. As you can see, it's in position 2. We then know that the second index contained the biggest number, and that was Beth here. So if the points in position X equals that maximum number, I'll put the competitor name in the same position. So if it was 385, it would have been Beth. So as you can see from the mark scheme, guys, all I've done is I've broken this up and tried to explain exactly how you attack this question. But one of the most important things I want you to take from this is understanding that you would have got marks for giving this question a go for all of these things here. Even if you didn't manage to use your nested loops because it was too complicated, even if you only managed to do a basic input with validation, you're still going to get marks for doing that, for commenting on your code, for using your basic count controlled loops, for paper using if statements, you will pick up marks, guys. There isn't a set answer for this. There's more than one way to attack this question, so please give it a go and try your best. And to finish off, for your comments, get those easy marks. Explain why you're initializing your array to 0, why you're validating your score, how you're going to store the score and keep a total, that you're outputting the certain medal winner for each event. And as long as you produce a good quality comment, you can typically put one good comment per logical block, meaning you don't have to comment every line of code because that would take forever, but one good comment per if statement or per loop. As long as you do it properly, using your double slash and describing what's going on and the purpose of that code, you should be fine with that comment per logical block. So describe the purpose, not just what the line of code is doing. I've seen students before literally rewriting an if statement in English, but they didn't explain why they were doing it. So don't lose out on those marks, guys. Very, very important. But hopefully this has cleared some things up and you've got a little bit more confidence going into that paper 2 exam. And as you've probably heard from most teachers, practice is going to help with these questions. Go and get some past papers, really focus on the scenario, use the techniques that we've discussed today and break it up as much as you can and try and get the marks available, which you are capable of. So hopefully that's made some sense, guys. Thank you very much for watching. Good luck in your paper 2 exam. Don't forget, all of the techniques discussed today are in my channel under unit 7 and 8. So feel free to go back and learn some of those basics if you are struggling with this unit. So thank you, guys, and I'll see you again soon.